Hey guys, welcome back to Checkerboard Chat. This is Trenton Duffer with Rob Harvey and special guest David Bradford today. David is working, he's finishing up a women's basketball feature. Just give us a little bit of a rundown without giving away too much to the readers.
I talked with Diamond recently. She's really cool. And I'm going to get a phone interview with Holly Warlick Tuesday morning if I wake up in time, because it's at 9:30, so that's gonna be a struggle.
That's gonna be rough, yeah.
That is rough, but not to go into too much detail. It's gonna kind of just talk a little bit about last year, but focus on this year because I'm pretty sure they want to move forward.
Yeah,
after last season.
And David is actually going to be our women's basketball beat writer this winter and into the spring. So
I like that little hand motion.
Thank you.
With Tyler Wombles.
With Tyler Wombles. And Tyler Wombles has been on the show before. He was a fan favorite by many. So, we'll have David and Tyler man in the fort. So it'll be a great team, and we wish them the best of luck. But David, you're not why we're here today. We're here for the question and answers.
Dang it.
So
I was misled.
Yeah. So we I don't know if y'all saw, but we had a video that came out. I think it was on Tuesday, asking you, since it's the bye week, we just wanted to see what y'all had questions about from the season or just any Tennessee sport so far, and we were going to answer them during the podcast. And so that's exactly what we're going to do right now. And so I guess first, what do you want to just go ahead and start it off? First question.
Yeah. But before we start, just for everybody who sent us questions, thank you so much. We're going to try to get to all of them. We're going to run about 15, 20 minutes.
Except for you, Jenna. We're not getting to all yours.
We're not getting to all of Jenna's. We are going to answer one of Jenna's, but not all of them. Like women's rugby, we're not.
Well, Aaron and Rogers and Olivia Munn remain together. I don't know.
I don't know that. But all right, Rob, you can start us off.
Yeah. Okay. So this question comes from Demeek Rudd, and he asked, "How do you guys think the Vols have performed through the adversity they met this year? For example, the injuries or turnovers that they've been plagued with so far." David, you want to go first there?
Just going with the adversity, I guess you have to say they performed rather well. Most people thought they'd be 5-2 at this point, and to still be 5-2 despite all the injuries is really impressive. I think they were down 8 starters going into the Bama game.
Yeah.
Who knows if they beat Bama with those 8 starters in anyway? But
yeah, I don't think they
do.
But
the 49-10 without 8 starters, that's kind of expected. You can't really blame the team too much for that. And then the injury still against Texas A&M to force double overtime with all those turnovers, 7. That's impressive. So given all the adversity, this team has, stayed its course. They kind of followed what Butch always says at every press conference, just take it week by week. So I think, they've met the expectations and they've done it against heavy odds. So you have to be optimistic about that.
Yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job. They are kind of at where everyone expected. But I think if you told somebody at the start of the season they're not going to have 8 of their starters for Alabama, and then 3 offensive linemen are going to get hurt in that game, and so they're going to have miss 11 starters, I think that people would be very happy with a 5-2 record so far. So yeah, I think they've handled it well so far, and I think now they're getting a bunch of people back, so they'll be okay.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see how they handled the adversity once it came to the injuries. They've done, like you said, they've done decent, but injuries are really starting to catch up to them, and I think it's obvious to see that now. But moving on to the next question, we've got Griffin Brody.
Griffin.
Do you know him?
Yeah, I do. I'll ask this question too, since I know him.
Go for it.
He
says, "What is the likelihood we don't have 22 players to field, and am I allowed to suit up? And is our strength and conditioning coach somehow going to keep his job?" Well, I guess I'll start off here. I think they'll have 22 people. I think they're going to get a bunch of people back.
Rosters are pretty big.
Yeah, I think they're pretty big. Yeah, they'll have some walk-ons up there. Griffin, if you want to walk on, I'm sure they'll love to have you out there. But as the strength and conditioning coach, I think it's kind of interesting that they let go of the guy who was there, in the summer. They let him go, and so they have a new guy, and now that they've kind of had all these injuries, I think it's kind of interesting to see. But I don't think they'll let him go.
No.
What do you think?
I don't know too much about the strength and conditioning job to really comment on that.
Yeah.
It's just when you have all these injuries, I don't know if it's strength and conditioning or if it's just bad luck, bad juju.
Yeah.
Because teams get hurt every year, but I don't think I've ever seen a team.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's all the key players, especially on defense, that are getting hurt. So I don't know if we should blame the strength and conditioning coach. Because I think you might have said this, Rob, but they seem to be, or someone said it, through 4 quarters, their ability to come back Late in games means that they're still kind of have a lot of energy, kind of fresh.
Mm-hmm.
So I think from that aspect, they're doing well. But I don't know if they should let him go. I don't know enough about strength and conditioning.
And I mean, it's not like it's the same injury again and again. It's like different injuries. So I don't think it's really I don't think he has anything to do with that.
I mean, what Cam Sutton, he fractured his ankle?
Reese Maben hurt his shoulder. I mean, so it's different stuff.
Yeah, that's just how your body contorts in some plays and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I guess our next question comes from Scott Bond, who is a friend of mine.
So you get to ask.
So I get to
I
ask.
have no friends, so I'm not asking any questions.
He is an Alabama fan. He's from Alabama originally, so he's not he didn't hop on the bandwagon.
He should be an Auburn fan.
Ooh,
like me.
He may come get you for that one. He doesn't like Auburn.
Or
he says he doesn't care much for the Vols, but he wanted our take on Vol fans booing the team and the coaches and the play calls during the Alabama game. He said that Vern and Gary had said it was just murmuring from the crowd, but
which I kind of think it was. I mean, there was definitely some booing, and I don't really know if I blame the fans. They're not booing the players. They're booing Mike DeBoard in his 2-yard slant passes on 3rd and 15. That's what they're booing. They're not really booing the players. I mean, I guess I can understand it. They really shouldn't boo the players, but I understand where they're coming from that.
Yeah, and he had said in the message, he said he thought the Vols' expectations were too high this year. And he said, all preseason he's been hearing about how they're going to go in and beat Bama, and they just kind of laid an egg. And that goes back to injuries. And, you don't want to blame injuries primarily. You don't want to just say, oh, it was injuries.
Factors.
Yeah,
there are.
Their defense kind of gave up in the second half.
So, I mean, I guess, David, my question to you, was Tennessee too overhyped entering this season?
That's hard to answer because the injuries make it impossible to answer that question because – we really don't know how good this team could have been if they're at full strength.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll say that the start of the year when they were relatively healthy was not pretty, so I guess you could go off that and say maybe this team was a little bit overhyped. And I'm not really thrilled on the development of some of these offensive players. Yeah. I feel like you look at the team last year, you can make a case that last year's team was better than this year's team.
I agree.
They were
offensively, definitely.
Offensively, yeah. And last year they turned the ball over 12 times all season. They've turned it over 17. Mm-hmm. This season. So in terms of the fans booing, I agree it's not the players. They love this team. I think the players love this team. It's basically Mike DeBoard because despite all the injuries against Bama, the play calling was kind of questionable. I don't know why you try to run up the middle with a banged up offensive line against that front seven. That's just not going to work.
Marcus Tatum is an
offensive line. It's a hard question to answer if they've been overhyped. I would have loved to have seen them in healthy. Then we can answer that question.
Yeah, this would have been a really fun team to watch, I think, if the health had been there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just, JRM and Cam and Darren Kirkland and just all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I know you talked about DeBoard. Don't you have a column coming out tomorrow?
It'll be Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Tuesday online, Wednesday in the paper. And it's myself and then my roommate's actually. He's writing a pro DeBoard column, and I'm writing a Anti.
Check that out in Wednesday's paper for sure.
It's a big mess up. Yeah.
I guess we'll shift gears a little bit now. Matthew Prophet, who is the head of the Regal Rowdies, asked us, will the soccer team run the table in the SEC tournament this year?
I don't know much about the team. I know, David, you've covered some soccer. So what do you think about? I mean, what do you think? You think they have a chance?
They've really turned it around after that loss to Bama earlier in the season. They lost 5-1 against Bama. They've turned it around. The SEC in basically every sport is tough, maybe except for basketball. But do I see them running the table going through the SEC? They have some young players that are playing really well. Hannah Wilkinson is obviously a great player. I don't want to make a prediction like that. I don't think they will, but it wouldn't surprise me given that they've kind of figured out their scoring problems that plagued them kind of last year and then the beginning of this season. So it's definitely a possibility, but I would say no.
Yeah, and there have been a lot less ties this year.
Yeah, they tied a bunch last year.
They had 7 ties, I believe, last year. One of only, I believe, 3 or 4 teams in all of NCAA to do that. Yeah. So, I think one tie this year. So they've really improved. I could see, like you said, with the youth and the playmaking abilities, I could see them making somewhat of a run. I don't think they'll run the table just because teams like South Carolina and Florida are just too good.
They play South Carolina today.
Yeah.
Senior night.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to watch though, and I'm definitely going to be watching to see how those games go, I should say.
Yeah.
I guess the next question is Caroline.
That's my cousin. Yeah, I'll ask this one. Woo!
Right.
Yeah. It's we kind of touched on it a little, but she asked, is it still possible for the Vols, football-wise, to win out with all the injuries?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it is. I think it's definitely possible. If you look at their schedule, it's not very difficult at all. So I think they will. I think they can, and I think they will.
Yeah.
I think because Butch said that the offensive linemen should be coming back against the offenses they're facing. I don't think you really need a healthy defense to shut them down.
South Carolina is
almost lost to UMass yesterday.
They almost lost to UMass.
UMass is 1-7.
This might be a shock, but the only team that maybe could give them some trouble is Vandy, which I know that sounds ridiculous, but Vandy beat Georgia because special teams and defense, and those two parts of the game can really make an impact. Overall, this team is too talented to lose to those teams. Yeah. I mean, aside from Tennessee Tech, who's just going to steamroll.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee Tech's going to steamroll them. There's no doubt about that.
For sure.
But they should win out, and that will give them a good chance to head to Atlanta. But we'll see how Florida, what they do.
Yeah, it really depends on Florida. If they get back to Atlanta,
which I don't think they will. I mean, especially after Leonard Fournette's performance.
I mean, you told me
he
earlier,
had 7 carries for 249 yards at one point. That's ridiculous.
I mean, that's just
when he's healthy. It's not. You can't stop him. I don't know if Florida will. I think they might lose. I don't know. I said Arkansas earlier, but after Arkansas's
they were playing
great performance.
They were playing the best team in the SEC in Auburn, so that's expected.
And we're going to shift back to Matthew now. He asked a football question. He asked me a football question. He said, "Do you guys think that an undefeated Western Michigan would get in the playoff over an 11-2 Tennessee SEC champion?"
Yes.
Is this assuming Tennessee beats Bama in the SEC West?
Yes.
Well,
this is Western Michigan.
I know. This is not.
I'll start out. Yeah. If that all plays out, I don't think Tennessee would beat Bama in the SEC title game.
I don't either.
But let's say it happens by some miracle, they would get in easily over Western Michigan because the College Football Playoff Committee is set up to pick the 4 best teams, and if you look at Tennessee at 11-2. They're better than Western Michigan undefeated.
I agree.
And honestly, I don't think it's even close.
It's a 2-loss SEC team, especially if they win the SEC championship. It's a 2-loss SEC champion team. Like they're going to make the playoffs over Western Michigan.
Yeah, and if the season ended today, those 2 losses would be to 1 loss Texas A&M and 1 loss Alabama. That 1 loss coming in the SEC championship.
Yeah, but I think Alabama would still make the playoff, of course.
Yeah.
I think they'd put 2 SEC teams in probably.
I could see that.
Well, I mean, I think what would happen, because Washington, Pac-12, they're probably going to win out.
Right.
Then Michigan, Ohio State, between one of those 2 teams, then Clemson or Louisville. I don't know if 2 SEC teams would get in.
That is true.
That'd be a great debate, Alabama versus Tennessee still, because Alabama would only have that 1 loss on a neutral field. That would be an interesting debate to have.
I don't think it'll get to that point. I don't think Tennessee would have a chance. I don't think Tennessee has a chance to beat Alabama, even if they're healthy in the SEC championship. Alabama is just on a world. I mean, they are on a level of their own. Like
even losing Eddie Jackson, just. Still, I mean, they're still just levels above everybody else, and
it's scary. Nick Saban is a scary man.
It really is, but it's. I wonder though if Alabama enters like they lose an SEC game between here and the championship. Texas A&M loses another game. Then you've got an 11-2 Tennessee team, a 10-2 Texas A&M team, and a
11-2.
No, an 11-1. No, it would be an 11-2 Alabama team. I mean, then what do you do?
Then I think Tennessee would get in.
Yeah.
In that scenario.
I do too.
I don't think the SEC missed out on the playoff unless it's a 3-loss team, which that's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, they won't put a 3-loss team.
Yeah. And even then, like, you got to wonder about some of these other schools like Florida, LSU. And, I don't think they'll make that the playoff, but I mean, still, it's
a lot of crazy scenarios.
A lot of crazy scenarios for sure.
All right, I guess we'll do one more quick question, then we'll answer our favorite one. So just real quick, my brother, shout out to Scott, what are the chances that Jalen Hurd returns for his senior year if he continues to struggle? I think I don't know about I really don't know. Like I think he might, but at the same time I don't really know if he want to. I think I don't know how great his draft stock is right now though. So I'm not sure.
Great.
Yeah, it's not that great. So he might because I mean he was supposed to break the Tennessee rushing record this year, and now he's just kind of been pretty disappointing. So I don't know if he'll go pro. I mean he might, but it just depends.
Here's the thing: I don't know if he stays, how much help he can do to his stock next year. Anyway, that's one. And then 2, the shelf life of a running back is so short. You want to get into the NFL as quickly as possible. So. I don't know if he'll even get drafted. He might get drafted. He's tall for a running back. I know teams don't like that.
Yeah.
But I think his mindset is, I can leave now. I better leave now because I don't know. There's so little to gain next year, and there's a lot more to lose.
Yeah.
So I think he'll think like that and go pro.
I agree.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Kamara gets so many less carries than Hurd does, but I think Kamara will ultimately have the better NFL career.
I agree,
More
100%.
versatile.
Yeah.
When it's all
I
said and
think
done.
John Kelly could possibly have a better NFL career. I don't know. I think I've said this all along. I think John Kelly runs the way Jalen Hurd should. I think Jalen Hurd runs
He was
scared a
breaking
lot.
so
Yeah,
many
John Kelly
tackles
breaks
against
tackles.
Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that's just one game, but at the same time,
It was Texas
it
A&M.
was
Yeah.
Texas A&M.
It was Miles
So,
Garrett.
And then Kamara just fits the modern NFL so perfectly because
Right.
he doesn't have to be an
Yeah.
every down back. He could be a receiving threat.
He's kind of like Darren Sproles, I think, just
Yeah.
satisfied in the way
So,
he can play.
Yeah.
All right, so our last question here is our favorite. Our special projects editor, Jenna, she asked us, which one of us would win in a fight between myself and Trenton? So, I mean, I don't really think this is a question. I'd absolutely destroy you. There's just no
Well,
doubt in my mind.
Okay, here's the thing. Back me up here.
Who cares about size difference? I don't care. I don't think
You
it matters.
you have speed. I will
do.
give you that. You'll have the speed. You'll have the quickness. You'll probably be able to get in a flurry of punches, and I'm still just slowed down and trying to figure out what's going on. But at the same time, I'm a big old dude, and if I were to just body splash from the top rope, shout out to what was his name? The wrestler who always did the frog splash. Oh,
It doesn't matter. Let's just keep going. I mean,
Rob Van Dam. Shout out to Rob Van Dam doing the frog splash, the 5-star frog.
but I mean,
frog splash.
you can't. You're not gonna be able to catch me. You're not even gonna be able to come close to hit me.
Well,
There's just no way. There's just no way. I'm
when
too
you-
quick.
Well, when you come in for the punch, I'm just gonna grab you by the waist and just fall, just like a tree.
So you'll fall, but then I'll be on top of you, so I can just. I'm telling
Well,
you.
maybe you wouldn't be on top. I would just fall like this then. Just fall
All
like
right,
straight
David. I think
forward.
David's the deciding factor
All right.
here. So he's
Okay,
gonna have to decide.
this is a tough one.
This
because
is your bosses, so remember
Yeah.
that.
this is a tough one because I would beat both of you in a fight.
I mean,
Oh.
yeah, definitely.
That's
but,
definitely
yeah.
not.
Oh, yeah,
that's
there's
not
no
true at all.
question.
I can't fight anybody. But here's the thing, Rob, you have the speed, but
Yeah.
how much damage could you inflict, right? So
Yeah.
if Trenton gets one good shot on you, you're pretty much donezo.
And I have those.
He ain't getting a
I'm
shot
not
on
wearing
me.
my rings now, but I have those that golf state championship ring.
Well, man, you want to
So-
state
do
championship?
any of you have fighting
Dude.
experience?
Oh God.
That's beside the point.
Oh come on! Tell us a Rob fighting story.
I don't have a Rob fighting
You
story.
don't have a Rob fighting story?
No, I don't really.
So the only fight.
it's because they haven't lived to tell it. So I mean,
Oh, that's what.
I don't want
is.
to talk about it because the police
Yeah.
are still out there looking for me.
The one fighting story I have. This guy hit me
It's gonna be good.
for reasons. I won't go into the reasons, but this guy just was tired of me and.
I mean, understandably so.
Understandably so.
I'm tired of you.
Yeah, but he was just tired of me for whatever reason, and he just hauled off and hit me, and he hit me hard, hit me right here in the left ear.
I'm still sitting.
Yeah, and when he hit me, I think he was expecting to knock me out because he hit me hard and then kind of was yeah, but and then I just it hit and you know how in the movies they turn their face and then they're just they look back at the person. That's how I was like, why'd you do that?
Did you hit him back?
I didn't. I didn't. Well,
So you don't really have a fighting story.
no, I told you it wasn't much of one.
Pain,
but the police officer.
acceptance story.
Yeah, the police officer in the school, what are they, SO something the.
Yeah.
I never had a police
Yeah.
officer in my school.
He grabbed him and put him up against the wall at that time. So I was just oh, okay, well, and I just went on to baseball. but
I think to wrap it up here, I would win. I
voted Trenton, so
I just don't really think
Well.
you need to. Okay, comment on this video. We're gonna post it on. We'll post it on. It'll be on
Yeah.
YouTube. It'll be on Facebook. Comment on it.
Yeah.
Tell us who you think would win. I mean, obviously it's me, but I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
Like the video if you think Rob would win. Comment if you think I would win, and share it if you think.
if you think
David would win.
No, share it if you think we'd knock each other else out.
That's a
Knock each
possibility.
other-
Because honestly, that's probably what I'd probably hit
Or
hit
nothing-
Rob once and get tired.
Nothing will happen. We'll just kind of.
But I think that's all the questions we have. Again, thank you to
thank you
everybody.
And keep asking questions because we're
Yeah.
going to try now, like the last 5 minutes, we're going to try and answer like a couple questions after for each one. So keep sending us questions. We love to hear from y'all.
And David, thank you so much for coming
thanks,
on.
man.
We'll
Thanks for
definitely
having
get
me.
you on as
Women's
basketball
basketball
season.
season.
Yeah,
progresses.
I was pitching my tent out there waiting to get on this podcast. So, I've been
Yeah, he
waiting.
kept asking
He
us.
did.
So, you know?
He did. And we'll have plenty of other guests once basketball starts up. But for now, this is Trenton Duffer. That's Rob Harvey, and that's David Bradford. And we'll see you guys next time.
See y'all.